Some consumer news now. A U.S. industry leader warning that President Donald Trump's plan to impose a 25% tariff on all imported aluminum could cost 100,000 American jobs. The new tariff rate is a 15 percentage point increase from prior levels and doesn't permit any exceptions or exemptions, set to go into effect next month. The CEO of one of the largest U.S. aluminum makers told the conference the tariff would eliminate about 20,000 direct U.S. aluminum industry jobs and an additional 80,000 indirect jobs. Intelligence agencies are cleaning house as more than 100 officers getting the boot for racy chat room behavior. The NSA is firing these employees for allegedly engaging in sexually explicit conversations in official agency chat rooms. Intelligence bosses have till Friday to identify and terminate those involved. Elon Musk, not as rich as he was last year. The Tesla founder has lost $52 billion in net worth since the start of the year. Tesla sales are down more than 20% over the past month. The electric automaker's market value has fallen below $1 trillion for the first time since November of last year. He's worth about $380 billion. That is $144 billion more than Mark Zuckerberg. And tax season is, of course, in full swing. It's colliding with headlines about IRS layoffs and cuts. What does it all mean for your return or refund? Karen Caifa has more on what taxpayers need to know.
Last week, the IRS was expected to start layoffs of more than 6,000 employees as part of the Trump administration's broader cuts to the federal workforce at the agency's busiest time of year.
We know that when the IRS is understaffed, as it was in the 2010s, it makes refunds slower. It means they have a hard time answering their phones if you've got questions.
Vanessa Williamson, a senior fellow in governance studies at the Brookings Institution, says the cuts could impact important taxpayer resources.
There's some evidence that a lot of the cuts are going to come to people who help small business owners who have some of the most complicated taxes of anyone. So if you haven't filed, I recommend you file as soon as possible.
Tom O'Sabin, Director of Tax Content and Government Relations at the National Association of Tax Professionals, says amid leaner IRS staffing, taxpayers should try to limit the need for person-to-person contact with the agency.
What it means is if there's any possibility to electronically file your return, do so. Whether you're using a tax professional or you're filing or you're on your own, or you use the direct file system, which is relatively new at the IRS, try to submit your return electronically.
O'Sabin adds that careful preparation can also minimize omissions and errors that could take longer to correct. And no matter the headlines, he says, to complete that return.
In reading a lot of these social media posts and the like, there's been some talk about waiting to file or don't bother to file. I think that's a fool's recommendation.